Hello, Earthlings. Today we'll embark on a journey that will feature this t-shirt of mine again for the next few videos just because I'm on a filming craze yet again. And yeah, I don't have time at all at this point to eat or shit or sleep or whatever, so I just thought, why not just make it a marathon of filming sessions again? So yeah, what else is new? Well, nothing except for this episode, which wants to target the all of the folks out there who still have problems with their bar chords. So, as far as I have seen along my way as an up and coming guitarist, bar chords were always a problem for virtually almost all beginners, except for me, for a very stupid accident, and I'll tell you why. Usually, when beginners start learning, they start with the open chords, and pretty much their whole world revolves around this area right here, the first 2 or 3 frets. So when they actually have to dare getting out of that box or bubble or whatever, and traverse the whole fretboard with what we call bar chords, which is just a glorified power chord, as you'll quickly see, they have a lot of issues with the bar itself because they have to coordinate the pressure so that it's uniform and none of the strings has to ring out or be choked, and at the same time they have to do a lot of shit with the other 3 fingers, which kind of gives them a hassle. So I'll tell you why this was never a problem for me and how I reverse engineered this whole thing so that I can make it not be a problem for the rest of you guys. So first I'll cover some of the basics, and then I'll go to the actual, let's say, secret, quote unquote, that makes you unlock the power of the bar chords in a way it's never been done before. So, one of the very first things is that if you have problems with bar chords, obviously you're a beginner. And if you're a beginner, obviously you kind of have no clue about your guitar setup. So, there are pretty much high chances of you playing with a shit guitar in terms of setup, or even shit guitar altogether. But one of the main things is fix your fucking action, otherwise known as the string height, right? So yeah, kind of small case of a brain fart I had right there. So action. If you have a mile high action, it will automatically be super high. Super hard to press down against the frets. And when you do that, a lot of things will start getting out of tune. String relationship will not be the same, and you'll have like a very weird, weird sound. I can't fake it on this one because it's properly set up. So you should first check your string action to be not as low as possible if you're one of those maniacs who thinks low action is a problem that the world needs to get rid of. But you should have it at a decent level at least. And together with this comes packed the problem of string gauge. So if you're one of those crazy people who likes to put super thick strings in standard tuning just because Stevie Ray Vaughan used to do this, or just because you don't like the feeling of floppy strings and you're metal, man, and you just want to feel like you're raking against fucking railroads. Railroads. I'm sorry, you just have to fix this up here, and eventually you'll have to fix this down here, because that's not how a guitar was designed to be, and therefore that's not something that you can easily accommodate to, fit all purposes. So try to be a bit more normal. And if you're using standard tuning, use lighter gauge. Normally, it shouldn't go above 9. I know people will now start yelling and stuff. Okay, if you want 10, but that's the highest you should go for standard tuning. Also, vice versa or corollary. If you want to, what was I going for? Yeah, if you want to play using super thick strings, then have common sense and lower the fucking tuning, so that overall the string tension, which is what I was going for, is good enough so that you can normally press with just light pressure and have a perfect bar chord. You don't have to fight the strings. Okay, so that's one thing. Actually, those are two things. What else? Well, the finger angle. So myself, I have quite a bony structure, obviously. So I found it that if you don't properly adjust the angle of your finger, and when I'm talking about angle, I mean the angle around its own axis, along this way, right? You will come across the problem of the knuckles, which press against some of the strings, and then you kind of have this, let's say, dip in between the knuckles where you won't be pressing against them. And also the finger is not symmetric with respect to this part versus this part. So again, a little bit of anatomy lessons, but yeah. So see this thing, especially if you're like super skinny. I'm trying to pull on my tissue right here. So yeah, you want to avoid this dip right here, or this dip. So what you have to do is you have to play around with different angles of the finger, and if you see that here you have protruding knuckles, kind of have to switch it, and vice versa. So you have to just find the sweet spot, is what I'm saying. So yeah, that's the what's it called? That's the third tip that I have for you. Another thing, shit, my back hurts. Another thing is hand position. So if you have like this weird thing where many people just consider this as the good old way of playing guitar, and you have your thumb over the neck all the time, and not just when you're bending, which is the only time when you should have it. If you play like this constantly, well, I beg of you, do some introspection on how your tendons align, and you will see that if your wrist is like this, you can no longer come up and bar things properly. So in order to do that and straighten this finger for a proper bar, you'd have to do this, which actually means that you have to play with your thumb behind the neck as you're supposed to. So if you're doing this, look at my finger. I can't really bar because I kind of have this, house roof type of thing going on right here. And obviously this is an exaggeration, but the more you're going on top, the more you'll have some space, so not all of the strings will ring properly. So that's another thing. And yeah, basically these are the general tips. And now going for the kill, for the actual thing that accidentally made me not have this problem, is I never started with the acoustic stuff first, with the open chords. That came later, and I still kind of suck at it. Kind of suck in general, but anyway. Thing was, I started first with the rock thing, electric guitar playing kind of thing, and lead guitar playing and whatever. But also for the rhythm, I obviously started with the power chords. And what this does is, if you know anything about a power chord, you will see that you almost have the bar chord right here. It's just that you're not employing the bar itself, but you kind of have your fingers here. And if you're a beginner and your power chords are kind of noisy, when you begin to be a bit more experienced, you will see that this finger has to slightly touch down on the strings that are not playing, which is called left hand muting, and also the for example, if you're playing with the root on the fifth string right here, the tip of your finger, the index finger, should also slightly touch on the sixth string so that it's muted, and a lot of such details I won't go into at this point. The main idea is that power chords are already kind of 80% there in terms of bar chords. You're just not pressing down. So because I did not go from these open chords right here to transition into this super awkward shape all of a sudden, and I was already kind of playing bar chords and I just had to clamp down my finger, I never kind of had this problem because this came very naturally for me. I actually sometimes when I was playing normal power chords, I would accidentally cramp up and just play a bar chord without wanting to, and I had things ringing out, and I was like, well, I didn't intend for this thing to happen. I was only going for this thing, but yeah, it kind of sounded cool, and I didn't really know why, but obviously it was the other strings because I was playing like this minor bar chord shape right here. If you want to go for the details, this is an A minor bar chord right here. So yeah, thing is, if you struggle with this and you went through all of the tips that I already covered, it means you're either not familiar with the power chord because you're stuck into your acoustic open chords and you have to get out of this thing at one point, or you're already doing the power chords and they're very familiar to you, but you're playing them wrong. And what I mean by this is that, and I used to do this in the beginning. You're kind of playing power chords like this, which means you're just targeting what you want out of the power chord, which is the root, the fifth, and the octave, or sometimes even without the octave, which is like the super simplified version, the dyad version of the power chord, which is not a chord. But anyway, we're not going into this. Thing is, you're doing this. You're kind of arching your fingers like this because you're just interested in your power chord, which has no problem. Actually, it's a very precisely fretted power chord, but again, you'll lack the muting aspects of it because your finger is not slightly resting against those strings, which again helps you mute. And also, if you're not just slightly resting and you're clamping down, now you have your bar chord. So if you're super dedicated to having this perfect power chord, it might hurt you. You might want to have like this chilled out, relaxed version of the power chord, which also is a lot more professional because of the muting aspects, and also is the best transition into your bar chord. And yeah, sorry, I keep flipping you off, but that's what happens when I'm playing the power chord. Because if I'm doing this, you won't see it as much, but if I'm resting it against the fretboard, this one starts dangling in the air, just like it normally dangles. So moving on. Actually, we're not moving on to anything. It's the end of the video. And with that being said, let me know what you think about it. And did you find this helpful? Do you think it's a complete waste of time? Because that always cracks me up. And if you liked it, like it. It's the imperative form. Like it once. If you dislike it twice, please. So click on that thumbs down icon twice. And if you want, you can subscribe. If you want, you can leave any hate message and stuff like that. I'll be sure to have a great laugh before YouTube deletes it, because I'm not even struggling. So yeah, YouTube kind of takes care of these things for me. But even so, if it doesn't, you'll forever be kept on my comment section to display your assholean glory. So, without further ado, I will end this video right here and right now. So see you in the next video where I wear the same t-shirt and I stink just as much. So, bye-bye.